Hello, it's July 2022, and keeping in with the theme of revisiting older videos as well as older topics, there's a video series I did maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and they really stand out for me. I guess you can even say maybe they have a special place in my heart. And the video series theme was basically, or pretty much literally, the cycles of civilization. And what I did was I had wrote out a story, and each chapter or each video had a different perspective of that same story. And this is the story, I guess, well, it's fictional because it's not based on anyone in particular, although it's based on what factual evidence that we do have of our history, for whatever that's worth. But it does tie into with what some people would call the Great Reset and mud floods and all this other stuff. And towards the end of this video series, I actually had a friend of mine who had their doctorate and they were a university professor go through these last couple of stories with me, and I really appreciated their help. So what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to take those videos and put them into one long video. You can listen. There's the visuals are just visuals. There's, they kind of relate, well, they should relate to what's being said, but it's really an audio, a listen to video. And I'm going to play them all through back to back in sequence, and I hope you enjoy.
Historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture, okay, as if a civilization is starting to unravel, okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the
Hard times create strong people. What we observe historically, the men who not only provided for the women and children, who had to rebuild everything due to the repeat of history with blood, sweat, and tears, who defended their homelands with their lives, but we also observe the women who vicariously suffered the hardships of these men of old without complaint or delusion. These women had their hearts broken as their men became ill and even died to create and protect civilization. They had their hearts broken when their children died in their arms, when they had no other options. There was a greater number of alpha males and females in the human gene pool who achieved these things. As the strong in mind, body, and soul survived and prospered, we observed higher critical thinking skills, superior preparedness, unmatched abilities to overcome, adapt, and move forward with the real hardships imposed. The rite of passage being clearly defined as lifetimes were not wasted. Factual-based common sense being praised, equal opportunities were given with no luxury for excuse of failure, and prevailing failure was the only option. People raised adults and not children. Life was taken more seriously, and the moral compass was universal. Men and women respected each other for who they were, their roles in life, meeting on common ground of responsibilities. Privilege by all was earned, not given. Nothing was expected, even respect, as it was also earned. Hard work was rewarded, and there were no safe spaces for the weak. People lived life to its fullest. However, something changes, as it always has throughout human history.
Historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture, okay, as if a civilization is starting to unravel, okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the
Strong people create good times. What we observe historically, where the hardships to provide became lesser and lesser, the rebuilding of history almost achieved, thus the blood, sweat, and tears simply stories told. The need to defend homelands was now in the shadows, as the enemy was content where they were. But also now, the women only had stories of their own. how their grandmothers suffered vicariously as the heroic women of old. The men who became ill and even died to create and protect was less of an issue, as the luxuries of safety were made. These women still valued their children as the future, those who will progress on to better things. As the hardships became lesser and the fruits of men's labor flourished, they marveled at their achievements and began to raise themselves above that from which they came. Women began to have less worry, and their tasks became less. The human species grew in numbers, as did the fruits of their labor. More time became available to be at ease. The wealthy and the poor became murky, as abundance was all around them. Men still sacrificed themselves for the needs of the women and children. They continued to build and create, making the lives of their women easy. They provided what they did not have when they were children to their children. Women started to become weak and began to expect, as the wealthy passed off their boredom to the lower ranks who consumed it all. The tradition, values, and social standards that created success was no longer good enough. They thought they could do better, thus dismissed the very things known to work, time tested with the same positive results. Tolerance and acceptance of the lesser of the human gene pool was acceptable, allowing the population growth of the beta and omega males and females. It wasn't accepted as achievement. The complicating of the uncomplicated began to replace reality, and the concept of equal outcome over equal opportunity became the new social norm. Personal and social fluidity was glorified, allowing for carelessness of life. Now, the one who offered less to the human species began to expect, as the wealthy passed off their boredom to the lower ranks who consumed it all. However, something changes, as it always has throughout human history.
Historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture, okay, as a civilization is starting to unravel, okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the
Good times created weak people. What we observed historically was men providing for women and children was made easy. Men providers were supplemented by glorified busybodies under the guise of good intentions, making men obsolete. By now, everything has been rebuilt to satisfactory standard, and enemy threats only rumored or offered as lies. Women did not have to suffer vicariously, had no stories of old to tell, thus fables were made. Women's boredom created wicked minds, and stories of old became skewed with nonsense. As the beta and omega females competed with the alpha females, men became casualties by being villainized, as so were the unborn children, as they were murdered for inconvenience. With too much time came boredom, and allowing idle time to create the need of fulfillment. The rise of the busybody and the do-gooder with good intentions began to chip away at the catalyst of social cohesion. In the beginning, more laws were made to help unite the people, which turned into appeasing all the people. Wealth and inequality grew as corruption and lies became the new norm. Less tolerance and acceptance ran rampant throughout every part of society. The criminally insane, power-hungry seized the opportunity to gain full control and introduced nonsense and divisions between all. As the people found themselves lost, they began to create new false traditions, values, and standards, as well as belief systems, replacing God. The time of the great forgetting of old has now firmly taken over, as the ignorance of history and their present via arrogant falsehood rewrites who they were, are, and will be. Nothing is defined, no more rite of passage, no more what is criminal or moral. Nothing is clear. They began to lose respect for self and others. Theories and opinions are accepted as fact, equal outcome now expected at all costs. The beta and omega males reign as the majority, making the men who achieve so much obsolete. Women with too much time welcome the comfort of the new dominant male and say, yes, we are equal to them. The children that survived pre-birth murder were being raised to be children. under the guise of compassion. Thus the crybaby grew into the tattletale, who grew into the bully, who grew into the busybody, who grew into the social justice snowflake, who obtained positions of authority as glorified busybodies. Oh, if only the people of old can see what has become. However, something changes, as it always has throughout human history.
Historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture, okay, as a civilization is starting to unravel, okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the.
Weak people create hard times. What we observe historically, the beginning of the end of civilization, as the glorified busybodies who replaced men for providing and protecting became so corrupt, their own corruption was their fall. No one was left to provide for the women and children. The governing laws became as theoretical mathematics, with neither having a place in reality. The wet noodle men of majority did not have the testicular fortitude to achieve anything for themselves, let alone for anyone else. What was rebuilt began to crumble and fall to ruins, and the enemy who held stronger to the traditions, values, and standards of old was now at the front door, offering solutions via the illusion of acceptance of diversity, or by the sword with fear, with either end result being the same. And the women who once vicariously suffered, who once shared stories of old, who once skewed with nonsense, now have none of these things, but embrace regret, for as they watch their creation of social decay consume all they once loved and cherished. The people now see the progression of their demise. First it was their boredom and discontentment, followed by the others who always had their respect with conditions, to the rest who went against all that was natural and good. They now see all had their place, at times with real tolerance but with conditions, as conditions was discipline, and discipline being freedom. They watched as they began to remember the stories of old, skewed with arrogance and clouded with time. But it's too late by now. With nothing left but to make the natural criminal and the unnatural normal, to make the strength of old immoral and weakness a good thing, to demand safety from themselves while pointing their fingers around them, social decay begins to rot civilization from the inside. From the ground up, from where this began, self-destruction of men to men, women to women, and children to children, from women to men and men to women, from the children to their mothers and fathers, and their mother and fathers to their children. Political correctness causing chaos, with the falsehood of from chaos comes order. Many seek salvation from any source that presents itself. Hero worship of famous characters, imagined or not, fulfilled the void that times of old had. Fear grows into paranoia, more confusion takes hold. Soon follows sickness and death, and everything built by men crumbles to dust. Now the great remembering begins, and forgiveness of God, the elders, and ancestors is cried for, with promises made. Praying for a second chance via a new equilibrium being established is embraced with tears. And behold, yet another chance seen across the plane of the earth. Hard times create strong people. What we observe historically, the men who not only provided for the women and children, who had to rebuild everything due to the repeat of history with blood, sweat, and tears, but we also observe the women who vicariously suffered the hardships of these men of old without complaint or delusion. The time of the great remembering of old has now firmly taken over, and future stories in the making.
Historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture, okay, as a civilization is starting to unravel, okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the.
We are those of old. We struggle and fight for our kind to survive and prosper, our kind being our subspecies of the human species, whichever this may be, or is the proper word race. We do whatever to ensure survival and prosperity, which each of their own kind, whichever this may be, are doing the same. We never judge those from our past, but we understand them, as we do not have the luxury or arrogance to judge those before us. We live so the future may live and build off of what we do now. They remain the constants in life. We are the men of old. We value our women and give them preference over ourselves. We nurture our women when they are ill. We care for them during the time with child. We watch over them when raising our children. We wish death for ourselves when they leave this world from giving birth, illness, or our foes, whatever they may be. We give up and sacrifice luxury for our women and children. We work the fields until our hands bleed, only to continue with our other chores afterwards. We bruise and lose limbs, building great wonders from dusk till dawn. We dig deep into the ground to find what we will. We come up with new ideas and inventions to ease and better the struggle of life, mostly for our women. We climb mountains and cross oceans in search of a better life. We dare nature and wildlife for these things. Not for us, as we would be content with bread and meat cooked over an open fire, with leaves for shelter and the clothes on our backs. We would also rather avoid trouble from our foes, whatever they may be, and move on, rather than stand our ground like real men for our women. But for our women, we are willing to fight, be maimed for life, or die. From the days of being a young boy, we remember our desire, the nobility of being a great husband and father. We wait for the moment when to become men, which we did not delay. We learn what we need to and gather what we can to make this come to be. What else is there in life but to be the best as we can as men, setting an example for the generations which follow. We are careful when choosing our women and value the words of our elders, family, and friends. We present ourselves as we truly are without a mask. For the gentleman, that is our core. We do these things without complaint or regret. Oh, how these days are filled with hardship and sorrow. We value and respect our women, for they are real women, and we are proud of them. They remain the constants in life. We are the women of old. We wipe the sweat, blood, and tears from our men as they risk their lives and at times give their lives to build a better world, and most of all, to protect it. They do these things for us women and the generations to come. They have their place in life as we do. Our differences unite us. We depend on each other, for the unity of a man and a woman is strength. We comfort our men when they become ill or injured. We care for their wounds as if they are our own. We provide care for their health by feeding them well, for without them, we would not survive. Our suffrage is great, as we live with theirs and our own. We tend to the gardens, we gather the eggs and milk. We prepare the meat provided to us while tending to our children. We are harmed with our own tasks, endure pain when giving birth, and at times give our lives for birthing. We know, as with the men, we are tired by the day's end. We hold our men as they die, providing, building, and protecting. We know their sacrifice and pain intimately. We look into their eyes when they say, with their last breath, "This is for you, my dear." Oh, how greatly we wish we can bring them back, even for a day or an hour. This is our pain. This is our burden. This is our life. We give all we have for our men and children, and the children that follow. Even with their lives, we hold those who die before, during, and after birth. We weep, knowing the importance and value of their lives. We cherish life from conception, for from us life comes. The children that survive, we raise to be adults. We give them knowledge of living. We give them the skills to survive socially and physically. We teach them to respect everything. We watch the men teach the boys to be men, and we teach the girls to be women. We care for our children, for we value them. From the days of being a young girl, we remember our desire, the nobility of being a great wife and mother. We wait for the moment when to become women, which we did not delay. We learn what we need to and gather what we can to make this come to be. What else is there in life but to be the best we can as women, setting an example for the generations which follow. We are careful when choosing our men and value the words of our elders, family, and friends. We present ourselves as we truly are without a mask, for the lady that is our core. We do these things without complaint or regret. Oh, how these days are filled with hardship and sorrow. We value and respect our men, for they are real men, and we are proud of them. They remain the constants in life. We are those of old, truly suffer in these times for a better future. What remains constant in our past remains constant for us today, as will for those of tomorrow. We look to our past at the mistakes previously made. We welcome the gifts of knowledge passed down via traditions, values, and standards from our elders and ancestors. These things they gave to us from the learning of their mistakes. We too make mistakes. We learn from them and put them to print, these things for the future via traditions, values, and standards. We have few laws and live in peace with very few laws. We use common sense to resolve our matters in our daily lives. We adhere to self-reliance, self-accountability, and self-responsibility. We are not perfect. As we said, we too make mistakes. However, we do manage to get many things right, and this can be seen by us being here and the future being possible. We are real men and real women. We give everything and ask for nothing, only wanting peace, freedom, and prosperity for the future generations to have. We are like the generations before us and the generations to be. We also have our good times. We laugh, we have goals, and we have dreams. We know the pleasures in life, and we cherish every moment. As we know, nothing lasts forever, the bad and the good. We have our favorite treats, our places to nap on a hot summer's day. We have our favorite stories to hear and songs to sing. We even felt the rain on our faces, embraced the cold winter days. We pray for the future to be filled with peace, freedom, and prosperity, the very things that we strive to achieve for today in our lives. Our message to the future generations, we say, remember us. Do not forget our blood, sweat, and tears for the future. Remember us as we remembered those before us. Remember us, for we died so the future may live. Know we will be watching and listening with joy and anticipation when we leave this world and remain in the days of old. For our deeds will echo for all eternity, as it does for those who came before us, and as it will for those of future generations. We will leave this world proud, not for what we accomplish, but for what you may accomplish after our lives are gone. They remain the constants in life. We are those of old. Oh, how we weep to see your lives and what has become of our sacrifices from our time of old. Have you not learned from us? Have you not listened to our words of wisdom? Oh, how your arrogance has consumed you to feel you are better than we were. And you dare judge us? Where did we go wrong? What could have we done better to prevent this from happening? We look at what has become of our goals and dreams, and from our graves, we try to scream our rage. Oh, why have you become so weak and soft? Perhaps we made life too easy. Perhaps we gave too much. So much that you have forgotten us, our hardships and sacrifices. We hear the chants of your women saying, kill all men. We hear your chants of your men saying, all women are evil. We hear your chants saying, the unborn is not life. We hear your chants saying, children be children. We hear the chants of your children saying, no respect for all. We hear your chants saying, those of old have no value today. We ask from our graves, how did this begin and why? Do you not see that our hard time of old made us strong? Do you not see how our strength created good times? Do you not see how those good times created weakness in you? And we weep with rage, for we now understand from our graves why your legacy is the creation of new hard times. With no pride or regard for your own kind, whichever that may be, to survive, you reset everything back to the time from where we were. What say those who follow you? We were those of old. There remain the constants in life. From our graves, we remember. Perhaps from our graves, you will be reminded.
The greatest challenge I faced was peeling back the layers of my own bias. It turns out I did meet my enemy. It was my ego saying that I was right and they were subhuman.
We are the children of old who watch our elders, who are our mothers and fathers, endure so much for us. We watch and learn with much respect. We listen to the stories handed down from them, our grandparents and theirs. We prepare our hearts, minds, and souls for our part of the journey of life. We understand the value of real hardship, for we have our own. Many days and nights we do not see our fathers, for they work, at best, only hearing their murmur through the walls when we are to be sleeping. Most times, our mothers work hard, making sure our homes are clean and food in our bellies. We do not play many games for very long, and the games we do play have purpose, teaching us skills. Oh, how we want to succeed the rite of passage as soon as we can, so we may contribute to survival and prosperity. As soon as we can, we put down the dolls and toy wagon to work in the fields or build whatever is needed. The boys learn the skills of craftsmanship, to work with our hands and celebrate what we have made. The girls learn the crafts of cooking, housekeeping, and other valued skills, making our homes home. We do not waste our time with too much nonsense, and we do wonder if our elders will respect us and the future will appreciate us. We do daydream and have fun by the river and in the forests. We quickly learn our pecking order without question, for we respect ourselves and others. Through our fun times, we learn about becoming one with everything and how to share our thoughts clearly. We strengthen our bodies as we climb trees and run up hills. We scrape our knees and elbows and learn from these mistakes. Most times, it is our carelessness that makes us bleed. Our mothers clean our wounds and our fathers keep us strong. The sunrise and the sunset is our clock as we do our part without complaint or regret. We say, we hope times change for the better, for the constants in life to be plentiful. We are the children who come from the days after the days of old, for we are the ones torn between our self-worth and knowing its falsehood. Oh, how these times are good, with abundance and pleasure. We begin to take from the tree of knowledge, picking its fruit one by one. We begin to complicate the uncomplicated, as our parents have shown us, and begin to be consumed by our own passions. But we can still hear the rattle of the chains we and our elders drag behind us, the chains from the days beyond the days of old. How these chains hold us back from what we want to do, whatever that may be. Oh Mother, oh Father, break these chains for us. We are told by the masters and our elders we are merely drifting through the great abyss on a spinning ball around an insignificant sun in a tiny galaxy, in a remote corner of the universe, traveling endlessly and aimlessly through the pure vacuum of nothingness. We are told we are the mistake of evolution as we look across the great plain, making us gods. Look at our achievements, for did we not walk on the illumination that has captured our imaginations since the beginning? And what has those of old given but stories and stories of stories, which we do not believe anymore? Yes, our elders finished what was started before us. However, this and not that though. We begin to create from our imaginations, and our imaginations are great, as we are told. We are the ones who doubt everything, even ourselves. We agree to disagree because in the world we dream of, everyone is correct, as we are all equal. We are told the world does not have to be as it was. We can make it safe and beg those who master us, give us utopia. And oh yes, those who control us say, and we shall, without telling us the price. The great forgetting begins as everything appears to be provided for us. We hear our elders say, we have allowed the lesser of our males and females to become the majority, while demonizing the great ones. We are taught they are evil, thus we cannot stand their strength in thought, body, and soul, for they remind us of our own weaknesses. But for the ones who control us, they have their own concerns. Our elders create a new system of equal outcome, so we can all share what has been achieved. We see how our elders do not care for any harm to others, such as with false accusations made and the wrongfully jailed. Oh, how great we have become and will be with our ideas, as the myths say they have never worked before. We say times have changed as they do, because there are no constants in life. We are the children of today who know not of the time before. We have built nothing and know no true hardship. For most of us, we see ourselves as the beginning of greatness, for no other before us and after is our equal, not even our elders. It is us who can and will make this world better. It is us who will build something new, as everything is already built for us. We hear rumors of something called traditions, values, and standards as our elders laugh. We read these words in print and say, these people knew no better. For who were they to tell us anything? Those dirty beasts of burden. We are told by our elders not to forgive them for being. We do not forgive their mistakes, for we only see their mistakes. And we hear our elders say, this is the testament for eternity. We wish for them. We erase them from history and our minds. Oh, how great we are, for we have more luxury, which we deserve, thus expect. Our days are filled with idle time, and we choose what we wish to do, not listening to our elders, and especially not those from the days of old. Damn them all, for we know best while in our youth, as we are the future. We do not say we are the children of today, as these words are myths, for this too comes from them who we deny. We do not say there is value to our brothers and sisters murdered in the womb, because that thing is not life, for this too comes from them who we deny. We do not value such nonsense as honor, truth, bravery, and hardship. We are taught these things are weaknesses, for this too comes from them who we deny. We say yes, the time to make the world a better place is long overdue, and we welcome our new creation, despite myths saying these things have never worked before. For we are smarter, and we will do it better than those who we deny. And for the some of us of our equal who commit blasphemy against us, we say, you who embrace the myths of the days of old will rot by our hands. We sacrifice nothing and ask for everything. For why should we not, as we breathe as well? We too have hardships as we cry for something we do not need. We too have hardships as we cry for more rights to make everyone happy. We too have hardships as we cry for recognition of living in a world of make-believe. The great forgetting is us, as we have forgotten. We say, times have changed as they do, because there are no constants in life. We are the children who will be, who look back to those we know as from our days of old. And we ask, were there those before our days of old? For all we know now is very little, and it's no good. Who was before those we know of? Why has all that is known fallen to dust? We have many questions and no real answers, although we hear echoes from the days beyond what we know as our days of old. Stories of what we know as myth. Were these stories true? We say, forgive us, for we do not know. We carry the regret from our elders and those before us as we look around at the world. The great forgetting is the burden we carry as we try to remember something we never forgotten. We understand the stories of myth, the hardship and sorrow that may have been. We seek the secret knowledge as if it were something magical and mystical. Our elders have no real answers, giving us only what they believe. They speak about things which offer us nothing. Our minds are empty, our hearts confused, our bodies weak. Where is our rite of passage? When is our time to build? We are left with nothing, and all we know is we are here now. Mother, Father, what is this hell we are inheriting from you? Where are the promises given to us? Where are you? Have you forsaken us? We are lost. The nights are cold and dark as we run to and fro. Is there a God? Shall we pray? How do we pray? With tears we ask. How do we feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, keep us from the hot sun day after day? Why is it what we were taught has no value to us now? Did you lie to us? Were you living a lie by the ones torn between their self-worth and knowing its falsehood? Mommy? Daddy? We say times have needlessly changed as they do, but not because there are no constants in life.
The greatest challenge I faced was peeling back the layers of my own bias. It turns out I did meet my enemy. It was my ego saying that I was right and they were subhuman.
We are the masters. We have been since the beginning and will be to the end. There are many of us and many within each of us, and we all have our own ways, desires, and being. Some of us are you. Other of us are like you, and other of us greatly different. We have some of your own working with us, and some working against us. We have been called many names from when we have been made known. You know us best as them, whichever of us that may be. However, none of that matters, as we are your masters from above and below. So we shall just call ourselves we. Shh, we cannot hear you. We are from before the times of old. We are those before those of old. We control sometimes for your benefit and sometimes for ours. We enjoy to see you laugh, and we wish to laugh at you. We are the ones that give you belief as well as hope, and we can take it all away in a blink of an eye. We can enlighten you as easily as we can cloud your minds. We watch you walk the plane of the earth in search of... you don't even know. We whisper in your minds many things as you feel our presence. Some of you call us God and worship us as flesh or something else. We are not the Most High, as we recognize the Most High with the ultimate respect. However, we are higher than you. Shh. We cannot hear you. We confuse you with such ease. Remember how it was once before? Look again. It is not anymore. Most of you do not even notice the empty shells you are. Some of you do not have any care as you scurry away in song. As for the few who do notice and care, well, we notice and take interest in you. And try as you may to measure the changes with your tool called time, you still do not understand because we whisper in your ears, time is another place. Some of us have watched you naked in paradise while others of us control your world. Even those who control are controlled, for the hierarchy of the great abyss has many levels. For us, you are at the bottom, for you have yet to speak as one voice. Shh, we cannot hear you. We make you feel important while making you feel like a virus. Your needless wars are from us, as we harden your hearts in many ways. Fires, floods, famine, abundance, lightning, thunder, and when the earth shakes beneath your feet, oh yes, we do many things. We test you to select you, for how each of us rejoices in our harvests. Worry not though, we leave enough behind for you to start all over again, as we always have. When your numbers become great, we wish not to have concern. We tell some of you what is proper to eat, even when it is not, and give you guilt for eating well after your hunt. We tell you your own kind is too many. We watch you kill your unborn. These things aid us until we return again. Shh, we cannot hear you. Some of us wish you well and cheat the game as ghosts whispering to your right, while others of us whisper to your left, saying, do what thy will. Yet there are many of us who have no care or simply observe. What animal of creation are you? We say with contempt. Are you confused yet? Are you confused with what we say? Why do you run? Where are you going? Why are you so loud? Do you not think we can trip you if we please? Do you not think we can cross your paths? Do you not think we can silence you? And yet some of you deny us, and others build testaments to us. Shh, we cannot hear you. You are not alone, as others are made, and unknowingly to you walk among you, while others stay hidden. You are like the animals in the forest that sense danger, with senses heightened. Yet you do not know what to fear, for the plane of the earth is changing, and many changes there are, for the heavens are changing, and you cannot see with your open eyes. You, as one, are changing, the invisible foe. And with your arrogance you say this is a great awakening of your souls, when it is just your primal selves warning you the time is near at hand. We hear your prayers as you weep, oh save us, have mercy on us, as you have done many times before. Shh, we cannot hear you. We do hear you are those of old. We can also hear those who have yet to be. Your deeds echo for all eternity. What say you? Oh, how your minds are small to think great entangled numbers will make you us. We have watched you endure hard times. We have watched you become strong. We have watched you create good times. And we have watched you become weak. How many more times will this be before we say, enough? There were and are those who tell of the time before. But did they listen? Do you? The chains you carry, the regret which has become your will. What do you think will save you? We cannot, and we will not, for this belongs to you. Shh, we cannot hear you.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.